Morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. My guest this morning is Majid Jamiu. Majid Jamiu is a journalist. That's why you see him on Journalists Hangout, among especially that's the sole qualification they have there. So people that, for whatever reason, Majid don't know that. I mean, yeah, I just thought this morning, let me just start off from there. You know, there are other things I say that make you cringe, so I'm not going to say more than this.
I'm happy that having the spirit of Friday and the spirit of
exactly.
Thank you, Uncle Yori.
My brother, thank you very much for making the time
viewers.
for us.
Yeah.
I thought we could look at Trump. America, you know, we have our associations with America. Trump hasn't always been a friend. He said some unkind things about us, but that's not the point of today. Why we're bringing up Trump is that late yesterday he was speaking to American troops, and after that, you know, he spoke on the election. And it was the first time that he was taking questions on the election, since the election. And as you know, he used the opportunity to reinstate that he won the election, which American observers and the American news media have continued to say is a baseless statement. Among other statements, no way Biden got 80 million votes. He said even he, that they say is 70 million. It's all sorts of wuru-wuru. And in any case, that 70 million odd is more than he came to office with.
He said dead people actually voted.
There you go. Now, this is well, how much of a problem is it? Because what he's doing, I would imagine, which one concerns us? Because the Americans, he's the American first guy. America is God's own country. America is the greatest country in the world. Okay, we're seeing it. He even brought us into the whole matter by saying, what happened was like in a third world country. We shall not be provoked to retaliate. Let's try and be as balanced as possible. What do you think of Mr. Trump and his shenanigans?
Honestly, if this had happened to me in a dream, I would have said, no, it's a bad dream. I mean, I need to wake up to reality. But then I watched Trump yesterday night, and I've had to go back on YouTube to watch that interview
again,
over and over again. I mean, a press conference.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's localize it now. Imagine a state like an APC-controlled state where PDP wins, and the president, Buhari, claiming that the Secretary of State, who is in charge of the election in that state, I'm talking of Georgia now.
Georgia.
I mean, that is an enemy of the people just because.
And he's a Republican.
He's a Republican.
He's a Republican.
He even mentioned it. He said the Secretary of State in the state of Georgia is an enemy of the people. Mm-hmm. I mean, just because you lost. And he's claiming that even in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, that more dead bodies, dead people voted. I mean, these are things you hear, and I think it happened in those states at a time. Yeah. These are things you hear in Africa. But what surprises me now is the fact that we have America that used to be the, eye of the world in terms of democratic tenets. A lot of democracies are looking up to the American democracy as, for example, they benchmark their democracies against that of America. But look at what is happening now. I mean, up till now, Trump has refused to concede defeat to Joe Biden. Reluctantly, he had to set up the transition team. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's saying that it is wrong for Joe Biden to even start naming cabinet people into cabinet positions.
Yes, and he said it's very difficult to concede.
Yes,
he said it's very difficult for him to concede this fraudulent election. In
that press conference, he insisted that he was still going to win by the time the legal quote-unquote votes are counted. I mean, he went further to say that the equipment that was deployed, the same equipment that gave him victory in 2016, is the same equipment that was deployed. He said the chips of the equipment have been tampered with. So you now wonder, there were 3 elections same day. There were governorship elections, presidential, in fact, about 4 elections, presidential, senatorial, representatives, and governorship elections. In most countries, you know, there are some of the House of Representatives and the senatorial elections that were like 37 seats were up for grabs in the Senate, while some seats were also up for grabs in the House of Representatives. The same election, we had some instances where the Republican Party actually won in some states, while in the presidential election, while the Democrats lost in other elections, probably Senate or reps. The same equipment were deployed for these same elections, and now you are singling your own out.
Yeah.
Now, the Georgia that he's talking about, he said he's going back there tonight to campaign. You know, there's going to be a rerun.
Yes.
The same Georgia election, there was a
That's for
close,
the Senate.
For the Senate, there were 2 Senate seats in Georgia. The same, in the same Georgia, the elections were so close that the Republicans had a slight margin. But the margin of lead is not enough to declare them, because if you don't earn up to 50%, if you don't earn above 50%, you can be declared a winner. So that's why there's going to be a rerun. So it's the same election that was very close, the same equipment that was deployed that gave very slim victory to the Republicans in the senatorial election that Trump is claiming was rigged against him in the same states by the same Republican Secretary General.
You know, it's difficult to, it really is difficult to understand Mr. Trump, because going back to, you know, the Secretary of State for Georgia, remember, it is now that he's saying all sorts of unprintable things about him. Remember how it was accolades galore, you know, much earlier on.
Yeah.
As I said, he's a Republican. But suddenly now he's tearing the man to bits, but that's Trump. But you know, Majid, the other thing I wanted you to take a look at is Trump has, what, 772?
Yes, a number, about 73 million.
72, 73 million votes. Now, a lot of those people, if not all of them, certainly a lot of them, actually believe Mr. Donald Trump in all that he is saying.
Yeah.
The rest of course, the Democrats don't. Maybe a lot of people around the world don't, but America themselves are the people saying CNN is leading the pack, of people saying that it's false. It is American social media that are contesting every post, every tweet he now tweets. They're saying, this is not the way the whole world sees it. But if 70 million people are believing what he is saying, and we're on the way to January, how much more before January now, January 20, what do you think this is going to do? Is it weakening America? Is it compromising Biden's victory, even though Biden is soldiering on? What do you think this incessant denial of Biden's victory, and maybe up to many millions out of the 73 million people that voted for Trump, believing Mr. Trump, what do you think that does to the polity in America?
No doubt it has divided America. Like Joe Biden said, he said America is more divided today than what it was when Barack Obama first won in 2008. I mean, in very simple, plain terms. Trump has succeeded in, idolizing himself into the minds of those 73 million voters. There is no way they could believe, and it is because of the way he's taking it, and that's why people are still protesting against the victory of Joe Biden. Don't take it away from him. He has done certain things, because at a point during that interview, he switched to pre-election mode, by campaigning,
yes.
Saying the things he has done, the way he has been able to. In fact, there was something he said. He said they should not credit Joe Biden for the success of the vaccine, that they should give credit to him.
Yes.
Personalizing the thing. And this is somebody that said he was going to fire Dr. Fauci. The COVID man. So now he has succeeded in dividing the American people. Apparently, it would have been better if Trump had considered defeat and appealed to his 73 million or more followers that, well, this is a hard-fought battle. The people have spoken. That is what we expect. This has never happened in the history of America. Even when Clinton, when Hillary Clinton won the popular votes and lost the Electoral College, she considered defeat.
Indeed. Indeed.
She considered defeat.
And this speaks to, quite frankly, it's not the most pleasant of subjects, but it is the fact.
Hillary won with more than 3 million votes.
But she didn't have the Electoral College.
She didn't have the Electoral College, but she still
considered. And she did the expected thing.
Yes, she considered. Yes. Now you are trailing in the electoral votes with 306 to 232. I mean, even if you will need to win at least 4 states. And just recall that Pennsylvania, with about 16 electoral college votes, have ratified the election yesterday, which means you can't do anything about that state.
Analysts have said that
it's already ratified.
That they can't see any pathway to victory for Mr. Trump. That's what American analysts are saying. Maybe other people also see it that way, but I'm really referring to American analysts simply because it's good to compare like and like, you know, and Trump has made quite I wouldn't say enemies, but not everybody around the world is pleased with him because of his rhetoric. But here the man is, I guess this speaks to, let it be said, white America, and especially white evangelicals. Now, this is, you know, we don't want to go racial, we don't want to be, but it's a very uncomfortable feeling because these people that I've mentioned are simply just stuck in that lane that they want to steal our presidency. Trump won. Trump is not the only person saying he won, as you know.
Yeah.
Just a cursory look at Twitter will give you the full picture. And yet, Joe Biden and his victory have to now be laboring on he has only reluctantly, I think you mentioned that, reluctantly considered to be of assistance.
In terms of the transition government. And you know, another thing that strikes me is why a body like the United Nations, has not deemed it fit, of course, to talk to the American president.
No, because it's a first world country.
No,
those
you
ones
see,
don't know what to say.
Those
ones don't know what to say.
If
it had been a third world country now,
happened in Nigeria or probably Ghana or even probably
the place would have been awash with admonitions.
Like maybe even a European country or all these Asian countries, you would have been seeing them. We are watching. We are taking judicial notice of what is happening, and the will of the people should be respected. So, is the will of Americans being respected now in America?
Yeah,
because 80 million. There's a difference of more than 5 million, almost close to 6 million now.
Yeah, so it's not a photo finish.
Even the Electoral College, it's not, you need to cross the 270 line in the Electoral College to win. But we are not talking of 271 to 268 now. We are talking of 306 to 232. So what are we talking about here?
Well, it's good, I think, to see this kind of a thing happen in almighty America, where, let it be said, there are excellent people in there, excellent thinkers. Not everybody sees it the way of Mr. Trump, but enough are seeing it. I went to that whole matter of white evangelicals, and generally speaking, the whites. That is not to say that there were no blacks that voted Republican. In fact, there are quite a number of blacks in the Republican Party. But this brings the whole the whole fact of Trump has been very, very clear about his displeasure at immigration and the mixing up of the cultures of America. He's busy with us, especially blacks from wherever you come.
Yeah.
His wife, as you know, the First Lady, is not a native-born American.
He's a migrant.
He's a migrant.
He's a migrant.
And all of that. She became First Lady. There's nothing wrong. But when it becomes... So all of that has
Trump's grandparents were from Germany.
So the point I'm making is that with the likes of Trump, perhaps even with the GOP, the blacks are always going to have a problem.
Yeah, you see, I expect that the Republicans, the GOP, the leaders of the party, the Grand Old Party, should call Trump and actually talk to him, because it's like the American democracy is embarrassing the whole world, as it were. And during that midnight press conference, he even had the effrontery to blame the media, for his loss. He said it's the media that called victory for Joe Biden. So you don't see that kind of situation and just ignore it. But then, in the last 4 years, Fox News has been very consistent in their support. Suddenly, before the election, Fox News switched gear, and even they called more electoral college votes for Joe Biden than CNN. At a point, like 2 days after the election, they were on 264, while CNN was still on like 230. Calling more states, more of the flip states. And
Fox used to be the station of choice for Trump.
For Trump.
Now he's fighting them. I think they have added them to the fake news.
All the media.
Now he's going with, is it One America? There's this news station that that is the station. Let's make them rich. Let's make them rich. One America is the genuine station. So
now it's, I don't know, it has really dragged the American democracy back. To the extent that we don't even know whether to see the American democracy as a benchmark. I don't see us benchmarking, because our own democratic process in Nigeria is growing, and we are getting it better by the day. Look at the elections in Edo. A lot of people thought it's going to be riotous, and it became very simple and flawless, seamless. And as we progress to Ondo too, we saw what happened in Ondo State. So we are getting better by the day. It's accounting all those millions that used to come as election results. Are fast disappearing. We are getting close to what we can say is the reality. And now, look at the flip side. We have more people coming out to vote. About 155 million people voted in the last American elections, and you are saying that 80 million votes are fake.
That's exactly what
fraudulent.
He's saying. Someone imagines that he said the postal votes, that those ones.
The mail-in votes.
The mail-in votes, of that was not working. So he's just discrediting systems that America has really built, that have been pillars
over the years
of America's democracy.
There are three versions, three modes of the election, which different states actually could take on. Some of them did mail-in votes. There were absentee ballots and votes on election day. Some states decided to count the mail-in votes first, while some states decided to count the election day votes first, like in the test,
which they are allowed to do.
Which they are allowed to do.
He has now used this. He's trying to use it as evidence of fraudulent practices. But I beg your pardon. Demola in Osogbo has called in. Good morning, Demola.
Yeah, good morning, Uncle Yari.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. What I want to contribute this morning is this. This hatred, so to say, by Trump to black people, the only thing we need to take out of it is this. Our people here must make this place conducive for everybody. Our leaders in Africa. If this place is okay for everybody, what are we looking for in another man's land? But because of the fact that things are not working, that's why people are dying to go abroad. After all, Trump himself is an immigrant. His wife is everybody there. Why is the hatred for black people? Well, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. If our house here is okay, everything works, do we need to travel abroad? That's my take on this morning.
Good morning, Demola. Thank you very much. And it's so obvious. The fact that Yeah, it's an uncomfortable fact. Africans, including Nigerians, quite frankly, have become economic exiles in America. Let us call it what it is. Yeah, I think the other word is immigrants. But it's because this place is the way it is. Ademola is pointing out, and we're going to come to this subject matter because we're going to look at the recession that we have in the second half of the program and how to come out of it. This is part of the problem. If home was as attractive to the youth especially, that are running away to where they feel they have better opportunity instead of staying to fight, which I think is what the government is saying, fight, contribute your quota and do all of that, then there wouldn't have been all of this. But unfortunately, it is what it is. It's not just, I mean, you see him attacking Ethiopian, people who have become representatives in America.
Yeah, and even he's been attacking Mexicans by trying to build that wall. I mean...
Trump is in a real big problem.
That is it. So I don't know whether Joe Biden will continue.
We'll continue with the wall.
with that wall now.
But to Demala's point that Trump can only be getting away with all of this, especially his attitude to immigrants and especially black immigrants, if only black countries were better at their game. Because we've started going into what is going to be our second subject, which is looking at our recession and what can we do about it.
Yes, we need to really get our economy back on track. And
1 second, please. Let me bring in Benga, calling in from Germany. Good morning, Benga.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for calling in. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to contribute on this program.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm glad to speak to you this morning, sir. It's been a while. I've been watching your program,
Oh, we're delighted you could make it today. Thank you.
Yeah. Concerning Mr. Trump, just like the last caller said, just like the last caller said, we don't really, I mean, for me, as a person, we find it difficult to see how this guy really hates black people. And it's common to white people, and we're not only in America, but all over the world. So we need to build our home, and our leaders in Africa need to sit tight and see what they can do to make Africa a better place to be.
Okay. Because Benga, I believe you yourself, speaking to us from Germany, economic reasons would not have been, the last thing on your list of reasons for wanting to, make a move. So that's the point Demola was making, that because home is uncomfortable to most people, they find themselves going not just to America, but to other places like the UK, like Germany, like where you are. And it's like he's blaming us. Demola was saying that we fix our act, then we'll stop getting the less than polite references from people like Mr. Trump. Okay, Demola, I think Demola has gone now, but Demola, are you still there?
I'm with you, Benga, I'm with you.
Sorry, Benga. Yeah. Benga. So do you agree with that, that...
Yeah, that's it. Because in Western world, everything works for every one of us, do for us here, You have the stable electricity, you pay for it, and you work for it. But you have good roads, you have systems that work perfectly, compared to Africa. We are in Nigeria, I find it difficult to believe.
It is what it is.
In Nigeria, whereby you pay for electricity while you don't use it.
Yeah.
You don't have it and you pay for it.
Yeah.
To me, it's uncalled for,
But as you know, thank you very much. But as you know, we're working on all of that.
In Western world,
Yeah.
You pay for it, but you could see what you are paying for. Compared to Nigeria, whereby you are paying for electricity and you don't even use it, It's of no account, it's of no use, So I believe that's why Trump could, we could remember that he called Africa a shithole. And God has blessed us with everything in Africa. We are the best in the world. We have one of the best weather in the world. God has blessed Africa with everything.
Sure.
But even these white people will come to Africa and relax and enjoy themselves, compared to us coming to their own land and do sort of things that we cannot even do in Africa,
Yeah.
So if our leaders in Africa could sit down and say, okay, what have we done wrong that will make it to be right, so that every one of us in Africa, and Africa will become the best continent in the world.
Yes,
God has blessed us with everything. God has endowed us with everything. We have best weather. We have everything. You know.
Yeah, you're right.
We have everything. We have everything. Africa is the best. So unless we want to destroy ourselves, there is nothing in abroad. I am telling you the reality.
I hear you.
Africa is the best.
I hear you. I hear you.
Most especially Nigeria. My home country, Nigeria is the best country in the world.
Thank you very much.
With everything.
Thank you very much for calling in, Gbenga. Really appreciate your call. Some, truths there. It is what it is. Unfortunately, Gbenga pretty much said it. When people find that the struggle is becoming impossible here, is when they have to go to the kind of place that Demola is describing.
They look for greener pastures.
For greener pastures. And the likes of Mr. Trump has said pointedly that go home and go and fix your own country. Don't be running here and be taking advantage of our system, which his own fellow political people don't always agree with and say that this is not. In fact, they find it embarrassing. But the point is, it's one thing to say you find it embarrassing publicly. There have been all sorts of stories as to what exactly are they saying behind closed doors. Because Trump, where did Trump get 70 million votes from? The way he's been carrying on, he shouldn't have gotten more than 5 million votes so that we say that America has spoken.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, the real white guys believe so much in Trump.
He believes so much. The real white guy believes so much in Trump.
Yeah.
And I think that one sentence sort of sums it up. Let me take Mr.
key.
George. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling.
Good morning to Moji.
Good morning.
Uncle Yori, if this sort of thing was happening in this part of the world, they will call us names. That we are not compliant to democracy. We are black.
No, but they said it, Mr. George. They said it's like in a third world country. Trump said that all of this is like a third world country to him.
He's the one that brought third world fever to America. I told you that when he entered, America entered one chance. And if they give him another 4 years, Nigeria will be better than America. Somebody has just spoken from Germany. I agree. Nigeria is better than any other country that I know. What we do not have here yet is good management of the resources that the has endowed us with.
Okay.
But America should ensure that this guy is changed. After January 20, they should not allow him to circulate. Otherwise, he will continue to spread racism, divisiveness, and any conspiracy that can bring America down.
Okay.
I don't agree with the approach which Biden is trying to introduce. To use likes to ward off likes. You can't treat a man like this with the kind of policy that I see Biden bringing. Mm-hmm. I know midway you will see the need to change.
Okay.
We are proud that we are Nigerians, but it is good that it is happening. That is why the Yahoo boys always succeed with the Americans who come here to do business.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody just came from nowhere and constructed conspiracy theories. Told you this and that is that, and see the number of people that are believing him. 70 million people still want him to continue.
Yeah,
that's the irony of it.
That is. Yeah.
Uncle Yori, good morning.
Thank you very much for calling in. Good morning. Indeed, that 70 million people is what America now has to contend
Actually, 73.
Exactly.
Going on to 74 now.
Exactly.
Close to 74 million.
You have that mass saying, Trump, now our man, irrespective of whatever is being said elsewhere. This is something of a. Yeah.
But I disagree with George on one point.
Okay.
He said he doesn't like the way Biden is carrying on by taking it easy with him. For Trump, Biden knows what he's doing. Trump now is like a bull in the china shop. You need to be very diplomatic with him. You need to treat him with some, just guide him and push him. Let him, by January 20, let him leave,
Okay.
It's like a bull in the china. If you are not careful, it's ready to pull everything down pull the whole roof down on the house. So that's why Biden is trying to be cautious. Cautious optimism. So by January 20, we are counting down. January 20, the CNN guys said it. The Secret Service guys, we practically march him out of the White House.
He did answer a reporter's question and say that, of course I will leave. Of course I will leave. Well, you know that. Let me see how the Electoral College will declare it.
Yeah.
Enough on that. It's important. We've spoken about it, but we also touched on areas of our own issues here. So we ourselves are in a recession now. They say it's the biggest in recent memory, but the other part, when I started off about Majid, being a journalist, actually, it is well known that he's a financial journalist as well, and so we'll look at the economy next. Never mind that Majid is wearing many hats. When he wants to put on the political hat, he'll do that as well. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Now let's look. We started off, as it were, away. Let's look home, and especially at the economy. Nigeria is in a recession. No big news. We've known that for a while. It's worrying, but we have it. Now the fact that it's the National Bureau of Statistics is reporting that our economy shrank by 3.62% in Q3. That's around ending September. Apart from that, it's talking about a rising debt profile, inflation, unemployment, worsening our economic woes. Some experts are even adding COVID-19 and end SARS violence, among others, into the mix. Now, about this whole matter, Majid, about it being our worst recession in recent times, or is it ever?
Yeah. A country goes into recession when you have when your economic contrasts consecutively for 3 quarters. Mm-hmm. So the first quarter, we had a contraction. That's between January and March. Then April to June, there was another contraction. The economy shrank by 6.1%. And between July, August, September, mm-hmm. that's the last quarter, mm-hmm. I mean, it shrank by 3.5 or 3.6%.
So, in effect, you could say in the contraction spree, yeah. It's like we've actually improved.
Yes, there has been an improvement. And you see, when you have a monolithic economy in the sense that you earn your resources from crude oil, 90% of our foreign earnings come from crude oil. So whatever happens to the prices of crude oil affects our economy. So our destiny is not in our hands, so to say. And it's like a double whammy. Mm-hmm. We had contrasting, a slide in the prices of crude oil from January, and then COVID-19 came, bam. I mean, for like 6 months, we are still in it. There's a second wave. Now, that's like a double jeopardy. It's like a double shock to our system. But then from 6.1 to 3.56 that we saw, the marginal improvement, which is not enough to take us out of the recession, is because of increasing oil prices now. And I won't say the NSAS contributed to this, because the reporting period ended September 30th, and the NSAS happened October. So I don't think the impacts of NSAS will only be felt probably in January, okay. At the last quarter, the Q4 reporting year. So basically, I see Nigeria getting out of this recession, this recession, probably this quarter, because crude oil prices are quite approaching like $50 per barrel now, although we are now producing 1.67 million barrels per day instead of 1.8 million. So there's a shortening of about probably a few thousand barrels. That could slow down the recovery rate. But beyond that, it calls into question the leadership of the economy. Is the finance minister doing the right thing? Do we have a coordinating minister for the economy? What is happening to the Solido committee? You know, there was a time there was an economic team. And what is happening to the economic team head by the vice president, and the National Council of States, the National Economic Council, so to say? What do they do there? What are the things they do? We have had 5 years going on to 6 now of this government, beyond the successes recorded in the rail and some of the roads which are not even funded as they are supposed to be funded. I saw Fashola complaining the other day. On Lagos-Ibadan Expressway alone, we have about 30 or 40 billion to complete it, and the whole budget for the ministry is about 70 billion. So how do you do that? And we have how many road projects to do all over the country, and also housing projects. So we need to
managers of the economy. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, this diversification that you spoke about, because, and I think it's quite easy to see from what you say, being a monolithic kind of economy, depending entirely on our oil, and that's going to be a problem. As you are aware, the UK has given themselves the deadline of a bench of 2023 to see if we can just forget about oil and go electric. And, you know, if UK is thinking like that, you can imagine that most of the West is also thinking like that. Whether they will achieve that is another matter. Because should that time come, beyond 2023, if we haven't sorted out this monolithic aspect of our economy that you addressed, it clearly is going to become a lot worse. But it also brings me back to the question that you asked, who exactly are the guys on the economy? Of course, the finance minister is out there. Do we have good hands? Do we have steady hands on the wheel? The whole big... I saw something on the central bank governor complaining that analysts were saying that the dollar exchange rate is 4.80 or something like that, and he wished people would be more circumspect that wasn't the case. But I know he was referring to the official rate.
How many people
Who
have
has access to the official rate?
rate?
But I have a call in from where? Where do I have the call in? Okay, Mohammed in Wari. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Mojid.
Good morning.
I want to thank Mr. Mojid for his analysis. There was a point he made where he said NSAS does not have a contribution to our last analysis, from the MBS, which is really true. Because I think that one ended in September.
Yeah.
Yeah, about. But I think that of NSAS, where we will see the effect is when it comes to even internal and external investment. How do I mean by internal investment? Probably you are from one part of the country, maybe you are thinking of investing in another part of the country. It is an eye-opener now that people can start targeting business. People can start targeting businesses. Honestly, it's a negative decision on us, even investors now. But I now see that NPA can be attacked. Tinker Port, something like that. Our Tinker thing was also attacked. Businesses in fact, individual businesses were attacked. That really shows that our environment is not conducive for environment. That's like ShopRite. We can see where it was literally looted. So it's not a good day for our destiny. I want to just go on issue of Trump.
All right, very, very briefly, because we've left that subject, but very, very briefly, please.
He's my man anyway, even though I'm not happy that he is not considering defeat. Why do I call him my man? Africa, go back to Africa, go and return your home.
Okay.
Which is true. Let's go and return our home for our own good.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, he's your man because of that hard truth. He's saying, you guys go back home, fix your country, leave us alone.
Yes, I think I need to clarify the statement I made about NSAS not contributing to, I said, for the reporting period, so that people don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And for the reporting period, the reporting period ended September 30. That's Q3, quarter 3. It's between July, August, and September. And NSAS happened in October, and the crisis, hit its head from between October 20th and probably 24th. So we are going to feel the impact of NSAS I mean, when
in the
report,
following report,
in the following report,
for the following quarter, which will be Q1 2021,
and reporting for Q4 2020. So, I mean, like he said, of course, in Lagos alone, Lagos has aggregated about 1 trillion loss to NSAS, the protests and the destruction. So I think we need to clarify that.
So you were saying that diversification, and this has been known for a long time, but I don't know whether it is a sort of a slackness, is it a lack of ideas, because there's always been the safety net of our oil at the end. If all else fails, maybe we haven't been desperate enough to come away from oil, whatever it will take, or maybe there are political repercussions for going too far down that line, and you know Nigerians don't like to suffer. Even though they find themselves suffering sometimes willy-nilly, they don't like to suffer. And some of these things we've been told will take sacrifices.
You know, the CBN organized what is called the Agri-Credit Guarantee Scheme, and also the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs is doing something for that they call farmer money, where farmers are being encouraged to take loans without collaterals.
Let me come back to the farmer money, that CBN, farmer money thing, because Mr. Joshua has just called in from Ogun State. Good morning, Mr. Joshua.
Okay, all right. Good morning. Good morning to Majid.
Good morning.
Happy weekend to you.
Indeed. Thank you.
The handlers of our economy, I think he mentioned something that we should really touch on. Who are the managers of our economy? Like when this woman that was forced out of the finance ministry based on
Adeosun. Okay.
I tend to I saw a direction for the economy at that time. Now, after her exit, I'm sorry, I'm not really particular about anybody. But after her exit, I saw some kind of, there's been a quiet about the economy. You see these experts managing the economy, experts, they will kill you. They will kill you before you know it. Nigerian economy, something is wrong. The money system, for example, when you put your money in the bank, only 20 million cannot earn, I think it's about 1% or less. It can't earn anything. They have destroyed the money market, saying that they want to encourage loan for agriculture and all that. But at the same time, that sector is locked down. When you say there's money everywhere, but the money, who has the money? Our economy is being poorly managed. And I think the managers of whatever, we should hold them to account. What are these people? What are they doing? And what is the direction that the economy is going? Obviously, we need to really interrogate that matter. Please bring back that INEC person in Akwa Ibom.
Mikey Guinea.
Mikey Guinea. Please bring him back, Yori.
All right, then.
That guy, we need to talk to him more so that we can have a direction for our election coming in 2023.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joshua. Appreciate your call. Okay, Majid, in addition to whatever you wanted to comment on here, don't forget your point. Your marker was farmer money.
Yes, the federal government introduced this farmer money to support the rural farmers. That has had some positive effects in terms of increase in production of local rice, so to say. You have local rice coming up, although some people still feel that they love the imported long grain rice.
Because I thought you were going to go towards food sufficiency.
Yeah, it's part of it. I mean, but this thing is being done on a subsistence level. I mean, subsistence level in the fact that they are only growing it for, not on a commercial scale. So, like I was talking to someone yesterday, I visited the state of Nebraska in the U.S. Those 10 farmers produces the popcorn that is used in more than 75% of the whole of America. Just 10 farmers from the state of Nebraska. Just 10 of them. And how many people do they employ? They don't have up to collectively, they don't have up to 100 workers. And they are feeding 75% of the population with maize needs. So, but in Nigeria, you see a farmer, he owns like the size of this our studio. I mean, that would not even be enough to feed his immediate family. So by the next season, it's already going broke. So our farming is still more on a subsistence. We have some, like the Shanghai farming scheme that the Kwara State government adopted at a time, and cassava farming. At a point, Nigeria became the highest producer of cassava in Africa.
Yeah, and that experiment in Kwara, I think they imported, where did Zimbabwean farmers. So we have some pockets of large, but not a coordinated response yet to this problem.
Coordinated response.
Well, let me quickly get Mr. Olagoke in Ikeja, Lagos. Good morning, Mr. Olagoke.
Yeah, good morning.
Go ahead, please. Go right ahead, please.
I was a first-time caller.
Oh, we're delighted to have you too. Thank you very much for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I really want to briefly comment on the way the economy is going.
Okay.
And I am so happy your guest there talked about the economic team of Soludo. So, what is happening to that vibrant economic team? I know there's one in place right now.
Yeah.
I am sorry to say that one is a little bit dormant. It is not performing anything. If need be, bring that economic team, bring them back, get them involved in what is happening now. That is number one. Number two, I was so shocked when the governor of Central Bank said, is he not aware that the dollar is at 470, 480 right now in the black market? He has to carry himself along with what is happening in the economy. The way we are, if care is not taken, we will drop and we so bitter for Nigeria. We need people who are so sound on how the economy should go, practically. Do it. They should go to our market or the market in Lagos and bring a very vibrant marketer to come and control the economy of Nigeria. The way we are going, all these people say they are versatile in the economy. They are not versatile anything. They are giving the government the wrong direction.
Okay.
We need the economic team or the economic like that of Soludo. We still have them around.
Okay.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lagoke. So, apparently,
Soludo is actually part of the new economic team that has been set up, but not much has been heard about what they are doing, and the Soludo is part of the team. So I think we need that clarification. And the statement credited to the central bank governor. I would say that to him. The CBN governor cannot pretend that they borrow the change that does not exist because the CBN actually sells to them at 380. But they are supposed to, that's the official rate. They are supposed to mark it up by probably like between 5 and 10 naira difference. Because if you go to the banks today, if you go to the deposit money banks, the one we call commercial banks now, you should look at their display board there. You will see the rates from the CBN, and the rate they are selling is always between 5 and 6 naira difference. But then, when you go to the borrow change, because of the demand, if you need $50,000 today, you can't get it from the CBN. You can't get it from any of the banks. And if you need it urgently, you need to buy some good, like what the last caller just said. For those in Aba, for those in Balogun who buy from abroad, I mean, you patronize the borrow change. And you know, they higher the demand, they higher the margin. The margin today is about 110 between the official rate and the parallel market, which we call the borrow change. It's killing.
And Mr. Mefele seems to be angry.
And it's, he knows
people
the
are
CBN,
carrying on as if that were the official rate.
The CBN governor knows that it's a measure of the forces of demand and supply. And the CBN has been trying to fight that rate by pumping dollars into the system, at times up to $200 million to bring down the exchange rate. But rather to defend the naira. But there's a limit to which our even reserves can take that, because from $46 billion reserves, we are now down to about 35 or 36 billion dollars.
Okay, we're going to have to leave it here, Majid. We've completely run out of time, but I think the point that has been made, and at least it is your opinion and the opinion of a couple of people who called in, that our economic team, whatever it is that they're doing, probably needs a boost. You know, it probably needs a boost, to put it as kindly as possible. And, you know, we're not in a happy place yet. That's the point. Although, I'm sure those in government will say it is a case of hope rising.
They need to get us out of this recession fast.
Exactly. Okay, so that's our program. Thank you very much, as always, Majid, for coming on. And indeed, thank you as well for, you know, joining with us now. Where should I be looking here? I think this is where I should be looking in. So not much I can say apart from COVID-19. Remember the 6 feet, 2 meters, you know, distance, social distancing. Don't be hugging all over the place. Don't be going to parties all over the place if it is not the most important of parties. In short, all the parameters, or what are those things, guidelines that they gave us, NCDC gave us, see what you can do to really keeping with it. I'll be back tomorrow. No, not tomorrow. We don't do weekends. On Monday with a fresh edition, God willing. I'm Yori Folani. Bye for now.